You know, I asked Jason to sit in on Sundays. I go back to the barn. He goes back to the barn. Amy does. Not a whole lot going on today. Main track's closed due to rain. Racing one horse tonight, but I did want to see what was going on. I wanted to check on a few little things and see how the horses are. It took us 10 minutes of editing because there's so many changes to the stables and where they're going, who's here. We may still miss a few, to be honest. But a ton of changes made here. Want to talk about what took place this week. Now, I told everybody I had entered Adrenaline Rush on last week for Sunday, and then thinking to myself, that class may not go, and we race, what's his name in there?
Don't Believe Me, Just Watch?
No.
Monk?
Monk. We raced Blue Monk in there. I'm like, I hate racing our horses against each other. Brilliant Corners won't be in that class next week. The horse that went in 52 might not, and I don't think he's a good horse anyway. That's the horse we sold. What was his name way back when? Steve Doyle has him now.
Oh, you got claimed the other night.
Oh, did he?
Frontier Cruise.
Frontier Cruise. So he won't be back in there again if he was claimed. And he's an okay horse, but I don't think he's like way better than Adrenaline Rush. He's just a horse. So I said, you know what? Why don't we enter him for Thursday? If he gets in, then we just won't race him on Sunday. But partially in my brain, I'm thinking he won't get in on dates, but there's 6-7 horse fields, so he will get in on dates. Thursday back Sunday, I've done it lots of times. So it just, with everything going on, you know, we raced Bomb Hugger. Now, the horses entered for Thursday. Bomb Hugger races, then we race all those horses on Wednesday, all those horses on Thursday. The draw is Thursday. See, you were saying it before, in the U.S., you can remove a horse from the entry. You can't do that on the Canadian system. I physically have to call and say, hey, take that horse out of the box. They need to upgrade their system a little bit for stables that do move their horses around a lot. If you're going to make it easily accessible to enter horses, you should follow through on that and make it easily accessible to take your horses out. So I'm not trying to pass the blame. It's my fault. So I told Jason, you know, the horse was entered. I called Sherry and I said, listen. Now, of course, the horse raced good in for 17.5. Scratched out of a 15. I don't even know if the judges, what they'll scratch him as. I hope they scratch him judges. And I don't care if they claim him or they're not. It doesn't matter to me. But I think if it wasn't a claimer and it wasn't a reduction in price, it would be a no-brainer. But it's going to give the judges pause tonight to say, well, now, if there's any solace, the timestamp of the message I sent to Sherry Milner, the race secretary for Georgian Downs, will show that I asked her to take the horse out before he raced at Mohawk. But doesn't mean, it's neither here nor there. So Adrenaline Rush raced good the other night. Mm-hmm. Second in a dead heat, 54-2. Now, again, Rush is a nice colt, but he doesn't really finish off his dinner all the time. Like, he should have probably won the race, but I guess we're not going to complain. He could have been third, he could have been fourth. There was 5 of them across the track.
Yeah, it's a good race.
He raced good, finished second. Now, I have more Diener down here on your list. Now, he's shipped over to Tim Short. I was happy with the way he raced. I know I talked to Brady Brown and Scioto. He was happy with the way he raced. A lot of the horses on here come in and out of here. We use Northfield, as we should. This is our stable. We use Northfield as a hub sometimes. So some of the horses Tim has will come back here and then ship back in here. For instance, a Glariam is now in the barn right now. I haven't made my mind up what I'm going to do with a Glariam. Partially, I came here this morning to train her because I wanted to see what I thought. Did the shoeing changes that we made to her help? Did the work away in the aqua therapy spa help? Are there any things we need to work on? Is she going to race at the Meadows again? Is she going to go back to Ontario? That's an option too. So these are all things that I want to answer in my head. But we couldn't. Track was closed. So, as I said to Jason, the track opens for racing at 4:30. Make no mistake. If the track isn't muddy, I may just come back here at 4 o'clock, put the harness on her, jog her on the back track, and then when they open that gate for the main track at 4:30, because I don't think you have to have numbers on till 5.
Till 5?
Yeah. So I have a half an hour window probably to get her trained, and I will get her trained in the race bike if the track is fit. Now, I'll give you a little look. That is rain on the window. Good chance it's going to rain all day. There's a chance of rain all day, but...
They may be scraping it at 5 too, so...
Oh, yeah. There. So we'll see. I don't want to give her the day off and then try and train her tomorrow, but we'll see. Now, back to the horses. Bomb Hugger's back here now. Big win in New York. I certainly wasn't surprised, but you never know. We went to Ohio. We went down to Scioto thinking that we could make some money. Picked up the program. I said, Voyage of Ice and Fire's in tough. Of Tom's got the 9-hole. Purple Aura, don't know what's going to happen. She's off 2 weeks. Still a little bumpy. We're still working on some issues with her. She ended up hitting her, it was her hind leg, right?
Right hind.
Right hind leg. She ended up hitting her right hind leg right on the front of the bone. That's a good thing we didn't go with those bandages that I wanted to. That could have been a mess.
Trouble.
So we kept the boots on her. She hit herself. It didn't look like it was a constant hit. It looked like she just errantly, at one point, whether one of those steps she puts in, she must have given it a crack right on the front. Not a big deal. You said she was sound, Dave. Just superficial. So I guess the easiest way to do it, I have a knot on my leg from about 5 years ago, smashing it into the bed in the middle of the night. It's still there. So very similar to that when it comes to hitting on that front of that cannon bone. There's nothing there but skin and bone. So when you hit that and it blows up a little bit, it might be there for a while. But she's not sore on it. Biggest thing is tinker with those shoes behind, I think, and maybe I showed you those scuff marks on the inside of her feet. That's very rare. You don't see a trotter do that, and there's no other way those could get there. There's only one way they get there, and that's from hitting there and brushing there. So if she's brushing there, she might be getting up close to the hairline and the pastern also. It's very rare, but as I said to my video yesterday, I couldn't quantify what I was seeing on the track and saying, I'm going through my memory saying, I've driven a lot of horses, saying, gee, she acts like this horse or that horse. I just couldn't put my finger on what I was seeing, what I was feeling, what I was seeing on the video, and what I wasn't seeing with my eyes. So at least we know roughly what's going on. I'll overlook that bump on the front of her leg because I think that was one crack. But where did the roughness come from? I think we know now.
She's back here Saturday.
She's back here Saturday, right? So, Bomb Hugger, as I said, huge mile. We didn't know what we were going to get with Bomb Hugger. Sure, I think Bomb Hugger's an incredibly talented horse. I think of Tom, winning 58. It's pretty hard to say she's not a talented filly. But when you draw outside of 9 and you're in with fillies that can trot with you, you don't know. We go down there. Bomb Hugger's undefeated on the program, winning 58 in a straight maiden, qualified in 58 last half, 56 and 4 at Northfield. I pick up the program, I'm 4 or 5 to 1 or something. There's other good horses in there, so I don't know what's going to happen. But that's how racing works out, right? John Butenshane's horse beside me explodes behind the gate. Bomb Hugger just blasts out of there to the front. Just typical fashion for her. I could have been over the half and won one in a piece. I just didn't want anybody coming. I wanted to let her rest as long as I could because I know she's got a big sprint, like almost 3/8 of a mile in her. We got halfway down the backstretch into the last turn. Unless I was wrong about the filly and wrong about what I saw warm up, because I watched them all warm up, and I was wrong about what I saw in the program, there's nobody going to trot with this filly the last quarter. I put her in gear, and sure enough, she coasted under the wire. Now, I'd said to Mark Beckwith after, I had the hobbles on her pretty tight. She wears them tight, but I had them on really tight, because I said to him, I wasn't worried about her getting beat because she was tired. I was worried about her getting beat if she made a break. So she was a little shackled, and she will be at Batavia also. I spoke to the lady, Mary Warner, who owns a significant piece of Bomb Hugger. Her trainer, the lady's name is Ryan, I forget her last name, Ryan in Buffalo. Ryan's gonna be down as trainer on the filly. We're gonna ship her down there maybe on the weekend or something next weekend after we get her schooled up and trained up and get all the work done to her that we want. Ship her in for a part-time trainer, but somebody really just has to take care of her leading up to the race her, and then we'll make a decision after that. How far from here is Tioga? The next one's Tioga.
I have no idea.
I just want to keep a close eye on this filly for now. I'd spoke to John Buttenshane. I'd spoke to Mark, my brother Mark, about potentially taking her. But if they're going to race around here, I mean, when you start getting into Yonkers, now we're not taking the filly anywhere near Yonkers. She's going to have to go to somebody. But for now, definitely, for the most part, she'll be raced at a Northfield Park, but sent to a part-time trainer when the draw is made for Batavia Downs. And then depending on Tioga, we may do the same. I don't know yet. So, Bomb Hugger was exceptionally good, but worth noting, everybody that took care of this filly did a great job. Obviously, Shelby, who's with us, took care of her all year, loves the filly very much. Jason did a great job when she was here. She schooled twice here, qualified once or twice here, I think.
Twice, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, she's exactly what we thought she'd be in February. So it's not always that you're wrong. And I mean, when you're wrong, and in saying wrong, when I say, hey, of Tom, or Voyage of Ice and Fire is a Buckeye colt, it's not that he just fell apart. just not fast enough. There's some things that you can't tell until you get in with other horses. Sheer speed is one of them. And although Voyage of Ice and Fire is a nice colt, looks like he's going to be a Buckeye colt. Not the end of the world. Another colt that qualified fast is the Buckeye colt. It's Confederate Cruiser. You want to hook onto those things at 52, Dan Noble's horse, 7 lengths. I assume he was wrapped up, knowing Dan's horses. I mean,
a couple of months, 52.
It's no joke. I mean, you're either really fast or you find your spot in line. And we just need to find the right spot. Unfortunately, 7 holes and 8 holes aren't going to help. I told everybody, before you start tuning into Northfield and watching for a huge performance from our colts, I am going to take all 3 of them back on Monday. There's no point having, for the most part, the first or second start lifetime and just gutting them in with who knows what. Because what happens, and we talked about this, I talked about this in a video the other day, you don't know what people are going to put their horses in the Buckeyes, right? The Buckeyes might go here and go in 54 also. You don't know. So race our horses accordingly. I know that Confederate Cruiser probably pays 55 over this track if he had to, in the right crew. Procrastinator doesn't get around this track that good. I guess you guys have probably figured that out great yet by now. He can get around adequately. He can do his work here, but he gets a little rough and gets touching that knee in the last turn. I can't wait to race him in Scioto. Be a nice place for him. And aside from the track being kind of shitty the other night, Scioto was fantastic when, even the night before, when Path of Totality raced. It was incredibly good surface. And you can see it in Path of Totality. Like Path of Totality, you had to nurse around the turns at the Meadows. This filly just screamed off the car. We were up there 27-1. I had to stop going into the turn. Who knows how fast I'm up there if I just let her roll. So, Confederate Cruiser, we're going to be taking him back. We'll see how he races. You don't have Compass Rose DC right now. Duke Dio is turned out. I told everybody, I think Duke Dio is going to be nice. Did you ever get to train him? You trained him a couple of times, didn't you? I like this colt. I think he's going to be a nice horse. He's just not going to sire stakes with him. And we talked about Unbeatable Camp. I don't want to go there. I was sitting right beside Ron Burke, just like this. And he looked at me and I looked at him and he said, not again. Or he said, here we go again. I said, no. So I talked to Ron Burke this morning, a little side note. I talked to Ron Burke this morning. Probably going to get Unbeatable Kemp back here. I talked to John Boutonshade. Jeepers. Oh, my goodness. I'm allergic to water. See that?
Probably. Did you see that guy come off the backtrack a minute ago?
Covered in mud. Don't worry, I saw it. So John Boutonshade's going to send back Garden State Dio also. So we're getting those 2 horses back. Eyes of 10, much better the other night, right?
Very good.
Normally took about 18 shoeing changes, and we finally, you guys have to understand, it's not easy. Seeing a horse with all that talent and just not being able to help him or her get there. And the problem is that Eyes of 10 stands off a bit. She touches her hind shin, she touches her knees. Lots of horses do. Her brother stood off a bit. Lawmaker stood off a bit. Never touched anywhere. But just the way it is. She was struggling and hitting and making breaks, and then Enos shot her the other day. We talked about how we wanted to shoe her. We had an Amish blacksmith come in, Enos Schleidbaum, right? He just a great job here. All our blacksmiths do good jobs, but it's always wonderful when you're explaining to the blacksmith what you want on the horse, and then when you come in the next day or see the horse later, and it's exactly like that. It's pretty impressive. So we went out and raced Eyes of 10. You guys, if you want to go back and watch the replay, you can see it was pretty easy on her the last quarter of a mile. But we just need to get this filly moving forward, and I think she is. And I think you give her 2, 3, 4 starts, you're going to see the best form of Eyes of 10 and the filly that we all watch train down. Grace. What about Grace?
Grace good.
Yeah, Grace really good. Now, for those of you who know, Jason and I are obviously in the United States. He doesn't get to go back very often. I don't get to go back very often. But Cindy Acton deserves some accolades also. She does a good job in Jason's barn in Ontario, taking care of the horses, making sure they get to the races. And certainly Grace looked very, very good. And it's such a well put together system, because if Cindy needs some help with a horse, James just lives 15 minutes away. He can go to the horse and say, hey, why don't we try and change this or change that. Now, Cindy messaged me and said Twinbee Habanero made a break again. So we're going to swap out Twinbee Habanero and what's that filly's name? Sweet Ambitions. There's nothing really here for Sweet Ambitions. The reason she went to New York was because there was classes there. Wasn't really an effective stay for her, but there are classes in Ontario for Sweet Ambitions, so Much like Spend That Money, who we'll talk about in a minute. There is a class there for her, so we're going to send Sweet Ambitions home. Twinbee Habanero is going to come over to the States. We're going to work on him and finish him off, hopefully the same way we finished off some of the other ones. But she said he was been in 2-3, I think 2-5.
Not 2-4.
Something like that.
That area.
Anyway, he's been close enough to qualifying speed, but made a break the other day. So I just want to get a look at him, see what's going on with him, see if we can get him going. But as I said, Grace was fantastic last week, and a breath of fresh air. You know, for the people out there saying, well, you know, we train these horses down, they're just not that good. I don't know. Renegade Gypsy was third, beat a head, beat a nose, head for second in the gold. Pretty nice horse. Grace finished second, her first lifetime start, 57. Finished second in the gold, going for 100 grand. Pretty nice horse. Bomb Hugger obliterated them in New York. Pretty nice filly. Who else? I'm missing one. Oh, Slim Jimmy. He's not bad.
Still eating the dirty licorice.
Yeah, Eddie likes.
She's eating all the horses' licorice. Knocking on the door. Hi.
Hi. How are you? Good. You're good? Yeah. Is that the horsey's licorice you're eating? What's the horsey gonna eat? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's just mumbling. Say hi to everybody. Hi. Hi. There's Addie eating all the licorice. So, where were we? We were at Grace. Yeah, so we have 4. We might have broke 47 horses, but if you broke 45 horses and said, hey, out of those 45, 10% of them will be top tier sire stake horses, I don't think anybody would be too upset. And when we look at our other horses that really haven't proved they're top tier yet, Of Tom still has some work to do. I swear she's a stake filly, but she still has some work to do. Voyage of Ice and Fire might have let me down, but he's going to be a very, very nice Buckeye colt. Who else do we have? Purple Aura. Raced great the other night. As soon as we get the rest of the kinks at her, Sweet on Pete. Now we're keeping Sweet on Pete in the Buckeye.
Yeah.
And Jason and I talked about this the other day. I think Sweet on Pete is a sire stake caliber filly, but she's got a big, heavy frame on her, and I don't really know. I just don't want to push her too much. You know, she looked very good the other night, but very green coming out of the last turn. Kind of fell asleep. I kicked the earplugs, and she just drove away from them. I mean, this is a filly that's got a lot to offer. She's going to be a nice filly. Really, out of all of our horses, I might be a little deflated about Voyage of Ice and Fire because I love the colt. But he jumped on his foot. I love Voyage of Ice and Fire very much so, and I'm going to have fun racing him in the Buckeye, I guess. But a horse that did let me down is Hill of Magic. Now, she's going to the fair on Tuesday. She possesses so much more. There's your bet. She possesses so much more talent than she's put out, and that's the frustrating part. You guys know me by now. You know, you're here on Sunday. I'm here on Sunday. My whole family is, for the most part. People are here cleaning stalls, getting the horses ready to race this week, putting in added time to make sure that this runs smoothly. And all I ask from anybody is just do the best you can, the horses included. And for the horses that just obviously don't put out very well, I don't got a lot of time for them. And you know, you'll see me stick up for a Granite Hill, who is a slow horse. As of right now, he's slow, but he's doing the best he can. And then you sit behind a horse like Hill of Magic, and you're like, come on. You know, she got a beautiful gait. She's well-bred. She can trot. She trotted in 2 minutes right here in a qualifier. She can trot. But then you just go race her. Like, it rained and the track was muddy, and she's like, nah, I just don't want to. So, I mean, that's a frustrating thing for me. We have her in the right spot. She'll race in the fairs and the Buckeyes. She'll continue to do that all season, and then we'll see what the rest of the season looks like for her. You guys know a lot of these 2-year-olds, some of them that aren't very good or aren't going to be effective, are going to leave in the fall. And a horse like Hill of Magic, if you aren't going to put out, I'm not going to save your stall, or you know, there's horses out there that will want to put out, that will be effective.
There's nothing worse. It's pouring rain. They delayed the races like 45 minutes for lightning and rain, and everybody's running around like crazy. She raced poor, and they scope clean.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that. When you draw their blood and their blood comes back all right, you scope them, they're clean. And what you're looking at in the scope and what you're looking at on that blood report is nowhere near what you just saw on that race.
that's a very frustrating thing to know that those horses, you know, a horse that has the tools and has been given the opportunity to be a good horse. You know, we put the work into them. But just not go that extra mile. In fact, go nowhere near it. It's frustrating. It's not to say that Hilla Magic will be a bad horse. Maybe we'll race her in a couple of fairs and she'll turn on and take off. But I can tell you with all certainty that last week's race in the mud with Hilla Magic was not impressive. So,
And Tuesday at Cortland.
Tuesday at Cortland. That's right. So Granite Hill is entered in Tuesday at Cortland, but he's not going to Cortland. Jason entered him, then he popped a splinter or something. He was sore left hind, and rather than screw around with him, listen, you guys knew this horse was teetering, and racing him would be a detriment to him right now. He's not good enough right now, but he's trying, and he's a big giant colt. So all I'm going to do is simply turn him out, and I could sell him. But here's my thought process on a horse like Granite Hill: if we don't like him as a 3-year-old, to the Amish or anybody else, he's worth a lot more. They're not going to come and buy a 2-year-old trotting gelding. They're going to buy a 3-year-old that looks a little more matured. So to sell him right now, you're not really making any money. I guess you would have to take a look at how much money you have to put into him between now and that time, and how much you would get for him as opposed to now, in contrast to now as opposed to then. I think everything, not to mention the horse could become a better horse.
He tries.
I wouldn't keep him if he wasn't. Now, there's a perfect example. You had Hilla Magic, who really frustrated me the other night with a very, very lackluster mile, which was a better mile than Granite Hill. But granted, one horse is trying his ass off, and the other one's like, nah, whatever. So you're going to see me stick up for... I turned your phone on. You're going to see me stick up for a Granite Hill a lot sooner than you will a Hilla Magic. So Granite Hill... Back to Granite Hill, probably going to turn him out in the grass, let him fill out and grow up, and then we'll see. You know, the difference between him and other horses that I've said this very thing to, sitting in a car like this, those horses interfered and hit. Granite Hill really doesn't. Like, we wear the hobbles on him and the boots or whatever, you can't hear him click and bang and click and bang. I think he'll be fairly good gated next year.
The day we trained together, and I trained him in Billy Davis's now broken race bike. He mauled the race bike, hit the seat up underneath me, mauled it,
and never made a break.
Didn't run.
So I mean, that's a horse that's trying to do his work, right? So so Granite Hill, we're just going to turn him out. He is in to go in the Cortland Fair, but that was Cortland's screw up. Jason had taken the horse out, they missed it, and left the horse entered. It's not going to be...
The good thing, back to the USTA Standardbred Canada, the USTA online entry is, as somebody that does both, is miles ahead of
They've been doing it a lot longer,
Ontario, but it's polished. It's it's so easy. I sit home every Sunday afternoon and enter my horses for the next 10 days, 2 weeks. Yeah. It's done.
Yeah, and I think that's what Standardbred Canada has to get to. You know, I think sometimes a lot of ego goes into, well, I built this system and this is what I wanted to do, but it really should be user-friendly. It should be horseman-friendly.
So easy.
And they're getting there.
Yeah.
You know, it was frustrating with the Standardbred Canada. You have to have a Gmail account, and then you have to go in. And like I said, we entered Adrenaline Rush, but you can't go in and take them out, right? I'm left leaving myself notes or leaving you notes. Hey, take Adrenaline Rush out. So we have to wait to get up and call a race office, which is the whole reason you built the system, is so that people don't call the race office. But you don't have the option to take the horse out. So just something they got to work on, I believe. Globetrotting you don't have, but absolutely worth mentioning. You guys did a great job with her. Well, I think everybody in harness racing that watched her knew she was a winner in 51 and a piece. Her first start at the Meadowlands, made a break down the lane, and yesterday obviously looked very, very strong. I thought she finished up good too.
Yeah,
29 seconds.
But he never moved.
Yeah, he never moved. He just
made
sat
a break
on her.
to start before.
Yep.
He was.
I actually called the little Hobbit. That's what I call Matt Kakeli. And he never got back to me. I'm going to call him here in a minute when we're done this video and talk to him better. But very impressive mile yesterday, an easy looking mile for her. Ron Burke was happy with her.
Daryl and Travis.
I told them, I said Travis Henry trained her as many times as I did this year. So, you know, these are the guys that got Globetrotting ready. So good job for them. And it was good job for you guys out there too that own pieces of Globetrotting. You know what, I don't ever remember getting one message from anybody saying, hey, why is it taking so long with Globetrotting? Everybody understood what we were trying to do. I think anybody close to the situation knew that Globetrotting was not sound last year.
You know, it was always, and it wasn't that she had any glaring injuries. It was just one
this,
thing.
It was that.
Yeah,
It was this,
a
it
foot,
was
a
that.
check, a knee, a stifle, a hock. She just was never. I don't remember 2 weeks where she was sound. And even the day she jogged at Dayton, lose a shoe leaving the gate, you know, break her foot up. It just was a calamity the whole year. And to give her those 4.5 months off just to grow up, I think you're going to see that will pay dividends.
Like
As a
absolute-
4-year-old, really what we're doing is setting her up for a 5-year-old.
Absolutely not comparing her to Granite Hill at all. But the difference this year
Incredibly different.
is, but there's no, she has to be ready
But see, that's
April 1st. She has to be
Yeah.
to race in these this year.
nothing. Just bring her back when she. I told Mark Adams, and Winterwood did an incredible job also. And I told Mark Adams, listen. He said, when do you want her back? When she looks like a nice,
I got her
big,
in here
fat,
March-
shiny mare.
I got her here March 2nd.
Yeah.
So we took 4 months.
Yeah, at least 4 months. And I told him, I said, don't bother talking about her until she looks like she's ready to go. But that's the thing, is that when you get, and again, you touched on it with Granite Hill. It's not that I'm saying Granite Hill's even remotely in the same universe as a horse like Globetrotting.
But if
He
he
may be a
can-
slow horse his whole life, but when you give him all the tools, when you give a horse that wants to do their work so much, all the tools to do their work, at that point you're going to see what they're made of. This is a well-bred, good-looking colt. Why not? Why don't we wait and see what's in for a penny? My thinking's pretty simple: in for a penny, in for a pound.
Even-
Let's just see how good he is.
We're stuck in Canada last year during the pandemic phase 27, and it not only did they go on schedule here in Ohio, they moved it up a week.
That's right, and that's
So
one
we're
thing
rushing
everybody
to
has
qualify her at Mohawk, and as good
Yeah.
as she is and can be, she wins her first start of the 9-hole, and then little things.
Yeah, but I mean the Globetrotting, it really boils down to the time we gave her off.
Yeah.
And I think
We
the
could do it this
4-year-old,
year.
exactly, her 4-year-old season was a setup for the 5-year-old season, and that's what we were doing with Globetrotting. You know, I want to race her all throughout the year, but I want her to get. Keep in mind, these are like bringing. And I use sports analogies all the time with a lot of our clients. And it's like bringing up a young pitcher. Just because you can throw 95 miles an hour and you can hit the strike zone does not mean that you've even remotely made it to your peak performance, right? And that's a lot with these horses. Just because they're fast, just because they look like they can trot a quarter or pace a quarter in 27 or 26, does not mean they're there yet. Globetrotting, clearly what you saw yesterday was one giant step forward to her being there. This is a filly that needed her hobbles on tight at 2, needed them on tight for the most part at 3, doesn't need them at 4. What does that say about her maturity physically as a horse? So, Gray is the New Red. I never want to touch too much on Gray is the New Red. You guys
Just going
know.
to swing there. We're going from Globe to.
Yeah, it was a bit
Going
of a
from
swing.
Globe to
It
Gray.
really is 2 bookends. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I jokingly talk about Gray's the New Red. This is a filly that isn't that good, to be honest. You know, she can pace 56. But the thing, again, when you start creeping into that, I know you can go faster. I know you're a better horse than that. And you choose not to be. It's really difficult for me to get behind horses like that, for me to really stick up for them. I mean, Gray's the New Red's been up for sale for a month, and I would imagine at some point we will sell her, but she's in to go tonight. Good luck with her.
8-hole.
Is that what she drew?
Hunter Myers 8-hole.
She should never be given the 8-hole. And then we got Harlan, who's now, what's his name? Hope's Reprise.
Surprise.
I suspect this will be our last start ever for Hope's Reprise. I like the horse, and again, I will stick up for them, but there is, everybody has a boiling point, and so do I. Hope's Reprise is an overnight horse. We put him in the Stallion Series. He drew in with a Mordiner. I didn't notice that until right now. 7 and 8, I think, we drew.
Every big
So,
week.
I'm going to drive. You know
Big
what?
week in
Maybe
the
I'll
job.
see if Brady Brown isn't in the race. Maybe Brady can drive a Mordiner since he won with him the other day, and I'll just go with Hope's Surprise. That way there's no concerns. Oh, maybe we should have done this. Maybe we should have done that. I think maybe that's exactly what we'll do. So Brady Brown can drive a Mordiner. I'll drive Hope's Surprise, and I suspect this will be it. This will be the swan song for Hope's Surprise with the stable.ca, but that's the way it is. You know, he'll make somebody a decent overnight raceway horse, which is exactly what he is. But he's not a stable horse. He's not for us. Hill of Magic, we talked enough about her. She's at the fair in Cortland on Tuesday. At Glariam, there's a perfect example of us trying to take our time. I don't know whether people forgot about Glariam or not, but Glariam, did you just see that? Would come up a reply sent on my phone. That was
You see?
weird. Aglaire AM, we gave her the time. That leg's still a little filled up. She hits right where Mama knows best hits. We have one other horse that hits there too. Isa 10 hit there also. Exact same spot. It's tender, blows up a little bit under the jack. How you treat it is important. You got to make some shoeing adjustments. We made some shoeing adjustments with Isa 10 that worked perfectly. So we took that knowledge that we got from Isa 10 and shod Aglaire AM the same way. That's why I wanted to train her today, but with this rain coming down, it's unlikely. But at the same time, we do have Kentucky coming up for her. Now, Kentucky's a little different. I can take her down to Kentucky and take all her shoes off.
So say.
I can do that if I want.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, is Timmy going down to Kentucky or any of them? We could send like 5 horses to Kentucky. Aglaire AM is Kentucky. Blue Bayou Dio is going to have to come over at some
We
point.
need all the help we can get right here, right now.
I know, but I wonder, is there anybody in Kentucky, do you know?
I'm sure there's people in Kentucky.
I wonder if we could get a caretaker in Kentucky. We have like 4 or 5 horses. Garden State Dio, Unbeatable Kemp.
4 or 5, I might go.
Well, Garden State Dio, Unbeatable Kemp, Blue Bayou Dio, Aglaire AM. Those are the 4 I can think of now, and I know we have other ones. Those horses are eligible to Kentucky. Are they good enough? I don't know. Aglaire AM, no shoes on. I mean, James swore this was a Grand Circuit filly. So, I mean, if we can get her down to there, racer, and the B division of that Kentucky series goes for like 30 grand, right? I think it does. Maybe it's the A that goes for 30. B must go for 15 or 20.
I'm not sure. I haven't known.
For sure it does.
Twinsburg.
Yeah, that was pretty painful.
Good checks.
She got checks, but it pays 52.
52 is a 2-year-old and got wrong.
Yeah. So, Kentucky, we're going to probably send some horses down to Kentucky that are Kentucky eligible. That starts in 3 weeks, by the way. So, we'll have those horses, and I know there's some other ones. I know there's going to be people email me, say this horse is eligible, this horse. I have the staking list. I can look at every horse, but for now, I know those 4 for sure are eligible. And if Aglaire AM comes back good, great. If she doesn't, and we say, okay, Kentucky's a wash, here's a wash, might just send her back to Ontario, where she did track good. James knows her real well. Teresa's there and takes care of her. So we have options with Aglaire AM. We just haven't started her back up yet. She was going to start today, but it's pouring rain. What else we got? I'm a Lovely Ladies Racing Great. I told you, and I keep telling everybody this. The only start in her life she missed a check without. Hi. The only start in her life she missed a check without hobbles on, or with hobbles on, was the final of the Hackett. Hi, Addie Bear.
Hi, Mommy.
Where's Mummy? No, just wait for Mummy. So, I'm a Lovely Lady has been racing exceptionally well. Her last 2 starts, lifetime mark.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get any sharper than this filly is right now. She looks awesome. Luck of the Dragon, the horse, I told you guys that horse was no joke that beat him at the fair the other day. That horse that beat him at the fair won the Sire Stakes at Northfield last night in 55. So, I know it's hard to quantify speed at the fair. That was a slow fair. Like, they went the day 2.8, 2.7 the day before. They went 2.2. Luck of the Dragon. I don't know if there's a track record, but it had to be.
Amy said this morning, oh, people take Sire Stake horses there. I said, we took I'm a Lovely Lady there when she was second in the world record last summer. We took her to the next fair, so we've done it too.
So Luck of the Dragon, drew 8. That sucks. I would love to get a crack at them with this horse.
He looked good. Timmy trained him the other day. We went together. He looked good.
He's been really good.
He looked good.
The problem is that with the 8-hole, I'm just not going to hurt these horses their first lifetime start.
You got the 8-hole.
So Luck of the Dragon, probably get away no better than 6th, and hopefully we get a crack at them. But it's possible we won't. Maybe put earplugs on this guy too. Monday. Massive Profit. You don't have him now, but man, he was absolutely awesome last week.
Yeah, okay.
Irv really, I felt like a dick. Irv called me and had me drive his trotter the other night and made a break. What are you going to do? I mean, look at the race card. There's horses running all over the track. He's got full swedges on him up front. The track's that deep. It's not Irv's fault. He doesn't know how the track's going to be. But after watching all the races and looking at what was on that cold, without me being the driver, you can blame me. But looking at that race card, looking at those horses, it's pretty clear to me what took place. No, you got to stay in here, sweetie, for a minute. Well, we got a whole bunch of more horses to talk about, and we're at 34 minutes.
It's raining.
Matt's MVP has turned out now. Going to let him grow up. I had somebody call the other day. Just ask for clarification why we turned him out. So why don't you tell them why we turned him out? Hey.
Immature physically, mentally?
Both.
Both? And
Yeah.
as we just saw, we thought Voyage was we got a horse like Voyage, we dropped in the Buckeye. So it's not like he's going to go into the Buckeye and just start destroying people.
Sissy.
That's right. Where is CC?
Oh,
Oh, is it in your pocket?
yeah.
No, it's not. You lost it.
She threw something on the floor here a while ago.
I don't know what it was. We'll find it. Here's a Baba, though. We'll find it. So Matt's MVP, just a little bit immature, both physically and mentally. You're 100% right. Just needs time off. You know, here's a horse that's plenty fast. You know, perfect. The opposite of Granite Hill. Granite Hill isn't fast right now, but we hope he will be. Matt's MVP is fast, but very erratic and just needs to grow up a little bit, so we turned him out. Miss Meringue, it's worth noting, Miss Meringue and Rose Run, why not? We've been galloping them. I think next week we'll snap them in the bike, put the trot and hobbles back on them. I said to Jason, I think they're plenty strong now. Their legs look good. They seem to be trotting good. Let's go a mile and 2.5 with them and then gauge from there. Okay, we've been in 2.5 on the trot. How did that horse look? How did that horse come out of the training trip? How did that horse recover? How long did that take? Did the horse eat? These are things we'll be looking for next week when we snap them in the bike and go with both of them. Mama Knows Best. So not many people know this, but Mama Knows Best also hits that one spot, right? So she's going to be going over to Tim to race at the Meadows. I really like the way this filly raced at the Meadows her last start, and I think she's got lots to offer. I wasn't really that upset with her break the other night. I was just holding position with her, and she just, what she did, she obviously hit herself, touched herself leaving the gate, and made a break, and made a little bit of a break. But she'll bounce back. I mean, I know it's, I'm not trying to trivialize her mistakes she made, but at the same time, what's wrong?
I don't know, I got all the emoji things.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But at the same time, I think she'll be fine this week.
She goes back 8 days in Scioto.
That's right, so it's perfect timing. Miss Brampton Beast, she's racing. I mean, fourth beat a length in 55 the other night. Raced good. She's been an underachiever. Yeah, 28 in the end. She's been an underachiever her whole life. Hopefully she picks it up, starts doing well. My Jazz, huge update back to 100%. It took a long... 99?
Yeah.
Well, they want to hear. I want to hear 100.
Oh.
I'm calling it 100. I'm not calling it 99.
Listen, she's miles ahead of where she was.
This is a filly that's been off. Do you know when the last start she made was? Behind the gate, officially?
Last year in the finals, September?
No, she qualified.
Oh,
She was
qualified. Yeah,
April.
she qualified.
April.
Yeah.
She's been off, maybe May. I don't know which it was, but it was a long time. She's been off all that time.
She's been scratched more than she's raced.
That's correct. She has.
It's just...
And My Jazz, the problem was we thought we were dealing with 1 foot separation, and when we looked very, very close, there were 3.
Mm-hmm.
And very lucky that we had her out to Pennsylvania. Now, I guess a pessimistic person could say, well, she would have been all right no matter what. Do you want to take her? She's looking for a sucky, too. Where's that? Well, you better find it. She did. I put it in her pocket. Oh.
Oh.
Mommy found your
That's
sucky.
an old one.
That's an old one.
I
Found
think
an
that
old one.
might be the one she had, though. Yep, that's the one she had.
No, she had one that had blue on it.
Okay.
She's got a belly full of dirty licorice.
It was in your pocket. Did you put it in her pocket?
I did put it in her pocket.
She did
Anyway,
that.
here, come and grab her. We gotta finish this up. Where's My Jazz?
My Jazz.
So we had the horse over. Now, I guess this is only fair to give props where they belong. Tim and Scott Betts.
Mm-hmm.
You guys might see them in the. Here's your shoes. Shoes. Tim and Scott Betts. You guys may see them in the program. Scott Betts, trainer at the Meadows. Actually, they're the people that bought Beach Boutique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never did ask them about that filly, but.
The third brother Andrew runs the pool here.
And the third brother Andrew runs the pool right here in front of our barn. And he had said to me one day, we were talking about My Jazz, and he said, my brothers do, footwork. I said, really? He says, yeah, they patch them up, they cast them. I dare say, looking at what I saw over the last 2 months, that if we hadn't have had that odd conversation just in passing outside our barn, who knows what My Jazz would have looked like. She might have still been hobbling around, because the blacksmiths we had, they just weren't qualified. They weren't qualified to say, hey, we're going to take all that foot off, then we're going to see what's underneath there, then we're going to find those 3, which I've never seen in my life, 3 foot separations on their feet, then we're going to clean it all up, dry it up, cast it, and then come back and look at it in 2 weeks.
A literal cast.
Literal
You break
cast.
your arm, a cast.
Yeah, it was
I've
unbelievable.
been training her with casts on her feet.
Yeah,
It's-
and
I've
This-
never seen anything like it.
this
in
is
my
what
life.
this is what we did, and this is the route we took. And although it's taken a long time, I dare say it would have taken a lot longer.
And I was as happy as a lark to hear that the filly trained very, very good the other day. She looks like she's back
3
to her
times
old,
in a row, more importantly.
yeah, she's back to her old self with her head out of the window. Now I can't go there Wednesday. I have to go to the Meadows, but Luke Ebersol can go with the overalls and Crocs.
Crocs.
Can go with the filly. Can go with the filly on Wednesday. Who else did we have another horse qualify on Wednesday?
I don't think qualified. Bomb hugger to school, maybe.
Bomb hugger to school. You're right. So my Jazz back to 100%, not 99.
Okay.
100%. Back
But
to
most importantly, it was really cool. When they did her in Pennsylvania. And Tim
both.
Tim Betts came the other day.
Yeah.
Came here.
Yep.
2 hours away and ripped the casts off. And it was really cool to watch. And then they did whatever with the feet. And this was the day after I trained her. On Friday. And we put a set of normal shoes on her. And she jogged sound yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the real...
Absolutely it is.
I trained her hard
Absolutely it is.
on Friday. She jogged sound Saturday. That's...
So that's important. We got my Jazz back. Obviously, is she back to, hey, I raced her 5 times this year strength? No. But she's back. And we can get her qualified. We can probably aim for the next Buckeye with her. And then we'll see what happens. Now, make no mistake. I'm a lovely lady just winning 56-2. So it's not like my Jazz is just going to go out and, oh, everybody's going to be like, oh, my Jazz is back. But it's good to have her back, and it's good to get her back on track. Of Tom, we talked about a few little issues, maybe a little bit of mucus and whatnot in her airway the other night, but 9-hole for a big lanky filly, not an easy thing to overcome. And although I am certain she's a sire stake filly, I will not hesitate to put her back in the Buckeye. Now we have the sire stake here, backyard. See
6
if you can
days.
see way down that back window. If you look
Literally.
at that back window, that is where the sire stakes is next time. So I think maybe we will have her in the sire stakes. Maybe we will have who's the other filly? Purple Aura in the sire stakes. And as I was thinking in my head, I'm like, geez, sweet on Pete's here right now, but I think I still want to physically and mentally duck them as much as I can with Pete. 1-2 skip of you, another filly. You know, people didn't realize how good she raced the other night. She, you know, with all that rain, the track was garbage. You know, there's nothing anybody could do about it. She went out, got away poorly. You know, for a filly that got away on the front at the fair, got away in the 2-hole in her qualifier, got away poorly. She trotted her last half in 58 and a piece here in the mud the other day, last quarter in 29 seconds, and was flying. And you want to talk about a horse that was trotting all she could possibly trot? Every fiber of her being trotting as hard as it could. That was her the other night. She is such a treat to drive. She doesn't look that great yet. I know you were talking about how the vet thought she could maybe take a couple of wrinkles out of her. Every wrinkle we get out of that filly, I guarantee you will equate to nothing more than sheer speed. She is a competitor in the truest sense of the word. And I love going with this filly. I love everything about her. She's at the fair at Cortland also, so that should be a feather in her cap. I didn't know that many names of the fair. I don't know if you looked. Is that We Go? Is that the one that everybody was talking about the first qualifying day? Lonnie Graber's filly? I think it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're going to race against who's there. But we'll see how all the horses stack up at the Cortland Fair. Perfect record. Here's an odd thing. Like, perfect record. Qualified in 58, looked great. Went to the Meadowlands, looked great at the Meadowlands. Didn't even look bad the day he won the maiden at Saratoga. Just feels like there's a power outage now. You took his blood the other day. It wasn't even that bad.
No.
And his qualifier was. So, little tiny bit underweight, I think, from all the traveling around and whatnot. Little bit underweight. We're going to go with him this week, train him up a little bit, but there's a good chance this horse needs to go out in the field for a little bit. It is what it is. If we have to, that's fine. I talked to many of my partners on Perfect Record. This is a horse that I feel has speed, has talent. Not a killer. It's not like, oh, we need to get him in stake races. No. But he's a decent horse, and for whatever reason, he just feels like he's struggling a little bit right now. So, Perfect Record, we are going to train him up this week, and then we'll see what we're going to do with him after that. He may go out to the field. Prairie Fire. Another, geez, we're getting in 44 minutes here. Prairie Fire had that bruise in his left hind leg. It's still hot, still big, it's still problematic, and we're not going to race him until it's good. This is a horse that, the problem I have with this horse, if you watch Luke Ebersol's race, he raced great, but he was running in hard. And it wasn't like he was on the line and running in. He would bolt left.
I think Kurt got him the first time, but then the second time, you could see Luke's arm come way back.
So why is he running in? Is that causing a problem in that left hind? Here's a horse, is a very, very nice colt with some maturity issues. So if we have to pull the plug and just say, hey, we already know you're fast. Qualifying
Fast.
59 with a bow in your neck. Second beat a nose in 2 minutes, flying at the wire. We already know you're talented. You've already figured out how to race. If we have to leave you alone for a little while to let your body mature to where your brain obviously is already, then that's exactly what we're going to do with Prairie Fire. Nothing is set in stone, but I think after we get a look at the Buckeye, the Sire Stakes, and know how fast you have to be a Buckeye horse, let alone a Sire Stake horse, it may make more sense to take a serious look at what's going on with some of these horses and then adjust as we go on. In my 2-year-old portion of the video I'm going to do here in a little while, very stark, fair and honest look at what we have, what we don't have, and how we should address that moving forward. Procrastinator's great. You're going to see me take him back, and I don't know how he's going to race, but I'm going to take him back here Monday night. See how he gets around the last turn. Gets into that knee a little bit sometimes. Not bad, but it does hold him up, and he does stick a little bit. So we'll see how Procrastinator gets around. Purple Aura raced great last night. I think it's just we need to address that shoeing a little bit with her. But Ian is such a meticulous
Hopefully
blacksmith.
the track's a big difference too.
It is. But still, I couldn't quantify what I said, what I was seeing in the video, what I was feeling. I couldn't see what was going on because it's not very often you see horses hit in that area. So we can address that, I believe, this week moving forward. Rose Above It's been great. You said Justin said he trained great on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a horse, Prince Tab, 9-hole. It's not going to look pretty. Hope's Reprise, 8-hole, 7-hole, whatever. Not going to look pretty. Amor Diener's got a
7-hole,
chance, maybe, but coming in sharp, taking a lifetime mark. And Rose Above It, I think you're going to see be very, very good on Wednesday. Those are for the Sire Stakes. We jumped over Prince Tab. He's actually still here and hasn't left yet. He's another horse. Is he good enough? I don't know. I mean, 30. I know you were saying 2-1. He trotted okay, but he come 31. You're letting horses pass you late in the stretch. You shouldn't be that tired. Not that tired. So maybe he's just not very good. I don't know. I'll have a very fair and honest opinion of him after the race on Wednesday, and both him and Hope Surprise better pull up their pants. I know that Hope Surprise will do everything he can. I just don't know if it's enough. I don't get the same sense with Prince Tab. Is he holding back a little bit? How high or how deep is his actual talent level? I don't know yet, but I'll have a much better idea come Wednesday. So Rose Above It, I think highly of, and I think he'll be good. Rose Run, Why Not? We've been galloping her. I thought she galloped. Was that the one that I ran in 2 minutes?
No, that was Meringue first.
Meringue.
I went 2.5
So
with her yesterday.
both those fillies will go in the hobbles, probably go a mile 2.4, 2.5 next week, and then we'll decide after that training trip how actually close they are. It may be, hey, put them in to qualify, or it may be, we're going to need another week or 10 days. We'll see with them. Now, I was rushing a bit because I want to get to Slim Jimmy. He was so good the other night. I told everybody I didn't really like the way I drove him, but going in, having the night we were having, I didn't want to snap on the tail and push him over to the front. One, his mile was great, 57. The horse in the middle just won the Next Generation. The horse on the rail is Dan Noble's horse. Dan Noble's no dummy. So it's not like I should go in there, nor did I go in there thinking I have the best horse by far. But if I had chased him over to the front, got away in the 2-hole behind Ronnie, we're getting our picture taken, because he would have inhaled him. It was an impressive sprint to the finish from that horse, especially given the fact that he had flip-flops on. And that track was atrocious. All this is going through my head as we're leaving the gate. Flip-flops, coming off a qualifier, good horses to your left, don't be overconfident. But the voice I really wish had been a little louder was, don't be underconfident either with the horse. And I won't be again, but going in with his first start, I guess it was a great first start for him, but man.
Yeah, it didn't hurt him by any means. He got some points, he made some money, but
Yeah, he showed.
he's
probably
he
one
loves
of-
this track.
Yeah, he's
Next
probably.
third
So I said,
Saturday.
bring Chulo. We're gonna have a little dance with Chulo this time. I think Slim Jimmy's one of the best horses in Ohio, but you gotta make money. So good job by pairing Baum and those guys. They got almost $100,000 made with the Chulo horse. So spend that money. I'm just gonna put this filly up for sale. I'm gonna tell everybody right now she's going on gate. Didn't get in this week, so that'll be 2 races in a month. 2 races in a month, and just okay. Everything that was great about spend that money before the lockdown is the exact opposite now. We can't get her in to go. The classes are erratic. You can't get her raced. they've forced my hand. There's nothing I can do. And the position I'm in is a position that a lot of other horse people were in during the lockdown, and that's why those classes can't fill.
Mhm.
It's because they got rid of those horses.
Hard to
So
keep.
spend that money. I can't justify taking her here to race her. We don't have anywhere to race her.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I to do? There really is only one answer. We're going to have to put her up for sale, I think. Stonebridge Simba race great. We didn't get in this week. You get in next
Didn't
week?
get in. He'll be in next Saturday. He's entered. Saturday, Sunday.
So we'll see how he is. Now, I told a little while ago, I think White Tiger's going to go to Massachusetts. This guy may fit some of those classes here, but he did race very good here his last start. So whether it's the Meadows here or a mix of both, lots of racing ahead for Stonebridge Simba. Stonebridge Dolce, I'm going to continue to school her to 7, then to 6, maybe to 5 next week. But she continues to get a little bit better every time I go with her. I don't know how good she is, but she's very rickety. So I assume the more wrinkles we get out of her and we smooth her out, the better she'll get, the faster she gets. She doesn't have the greatest attitude, but she doesn't have the worst one either. So we'll see how Stonebridge Dolce does. Sweet Ambitions is here, but she's going back to Ontario to race. We're probably going to school her on Wednesday, see how she feels, and then send her back. Sweet on Pete was fantastic the other night. If there was any takeaway from last week's video, I told you that I think Sweet on Pete would win. She did. She looked great. Do I have a horse that I can give everybody? Yeah, I'll give you a tip. I don't even know what he drew. Slim Jimmy. How's that? We're going to give you our best shot of the week for next week without even seeing the draw. I'm going to say Slim Jimmy. Tanzanite Tricks race grade 27-4 on the end of it.
Yeah.
Just needs to get a chance to race. This filly is getting better. There's no two ways about it. Tanzanite Tricks is getting better, and I can't wait to see what she looks like in another month or two. That's my girl, not here. She's at Tim's race grader first start. She'll be back in. Brady can drive her again Thursday. I'm so happy to have her in a place where she can race and have somebody drive her that is not me. It's not that I don't like the filly, but I don't want to have to schedule my work week around a non-1 to 2 trotting filly. And Brady loved her. He got along good with her now. Now he knows what she's like, so I hope it's kismet. 3 Point Blue Chip, we've been schooling him and training him. He's very close again, but I told everybody I'm not starting him until he's ready. And I'm listening to the horse. I don't have to look at a stopwatch or, a stakes catalog or program and say this is when he needs to be ready. 3 Point Blue Chip will be ready when he tells me he's ready to go. He's close. Taiwan On has been fantastic. Now she is back over here. We're going to train her up, school her next week. Her first, next week? What's this week? I don't know what it is.
I don't even know what day it is.
I'm planning to race her on the 20th or 22nd at the Meadows, and then the week after that will be the Arden Stakes at the Meadows. That's mixed company. So at that point, we'll be able to formulate a true sense of whether she's going to stick with the Sire Stakes and try and pick them off, or whether we're going to head for the Stallion Series. Either way is fine with me. I'm going to let her tell us this week or on the 29th. Twinbee Habanero, as I said, is in Ontario, but is coming over here very soon. You got to believe this horse raced his guts out the other night. This horse raced great. Anybody that owns him or watched him, if you don't see what I saw, this is a horse that I really wasn't planning on leaving with him. But his nose is buried right in the screen halfway down the stretch. I know how quick he can scat out of there. Crossed him over. What happens? Not that many breakers, and then we get shuffled all the way back to 7th in the last turn of 6th. He raced great. Very impressed with you, got to believe. He's going to Cortland, right?
Yep.
On Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Unbeatable Kemp, although he isn't here now, he will be here soon. He's on his way back. 2 just bad trips for this horse, but that's the way it is. I'm not going to say bad drives. They're the best drivers in the world.
He moved from 7th and nobody moved.
It's the way it is, right? So it sucks, but that's racing. Voyage of Ice and Fire, moving from the Sires to the Buckeye. See if we can get this guy, if nothing else, get a win on his program. And then hopefully start him back up, and maybe he will be the horse that I thought he was by the end of the year. If he's not, I guarantee you he'll be quite fine in a Buckeye. And then West 52nd, kind of flat the other day, but he's done that before to us. Drops down in the class.
Yeah, he's in numbers 1500 here Wednesday. Got the 2-hole.
So we should be fine with him. And then, yes, a lot of people wondering and asking about, 54 minutes we talked about this. Yes, a lot of questions swirling around him. We schooled him. I know I didn't have a watch. You said I come last at 56 in a piece. So he had to have gone a mile in 55 for sure. But looked very, very good doing it. Well beyond adequate, put it that way. He looked very good. So we'll see how he races. Unfortunately, he has to start almost near up in the Open, you said, right?
He's in the Open.
So he's in the Open next Sunday. But Got to start somewhere. We'll get Yes rolling. The most important takeaway from all this is that we couldn't find any lameness issues. Yeah, his hocks were a little rusty, just racehorse stuff. But that left hind that he injured, fluoroscope or ultrasounded,
Ultrasound.
perfect.
Clean.
So that's the most important thing. Everything else are workarounds, but that we have to keep an eye on, and it is 100% right now. So that's where we are at. 55 minutes of Jason McGinnis and me. I'd say a good 51 of it me talking, 4 minutes of it you talking. So it was more like Anthony with Jason present, more than Anthony and Jason talking about the barn. But
Pretty much.
nevertheless, how'd you think the week went?
Could have been better. Could have been worse.
Pretty much how I thought. I think
My toe's not broke. The vet x-rayed it.
he's got soft feet, this guy. Every time a horse jumps on his foot, he's got black and blue feet. You've been around horses your whole life. How can your feet not be stronger than that?
I don't know.
He's got little girly feet. Oh, the horse stepped on my foot. Oh, my foot's purple. I think looking back on the week, truthfully, from my point of view, yeah, I wish we could have had a better week, but I don't really think.
We're probably not starting gangbusters because we got our next 4 races here, including tonight. We have 3 8-holes and a 7-hole.
Yeah. So it's gonna
So
suck.
could
Monday's
be
gonna
rough.
suck. Monday's gonna suck.
Going to be what it is.
We'll focus on Cortland. How's that?
What do you
And
do?
then we'll see at the end of the week. We got all the big guns again, but you know, I didn't really think it'd be different if the horses raced bad, or I just thought they performed poorly. Voyage of Ice Empire did what he could, regardless of what I think or what I want him to be. That's what he could do the other night. Track was deep, but it was deep for everybody. Of Tom, same thing. 9-hole, little lackluster, but 9-hole. So we'll see. Purple Aura race good. Got beat fair and square.
Beaver must train on a deep track.
I saw that the other
He
night. I'm
win
like,
5
Jesus
stake
Christ.
races. Just-
Beaver's horses were, you know, in orbit the other night, but he's a good trainer.
Oh, he
The guy
does
good.
extremely well, but
But
yeah, it's
his
just,
horses were
they
awesome.
were
And everybody
ready to
else's
rock.
are running all over the track, and Beavers are just. He trains a lot like we do, I think, and has his horses ready
You
to
got
rock all the
tight
time.
hobbles, and
Yeah.
they go.
Yeah, so good for him, not so good for us. I think Sweet on Pete was good. I bid on that filly that beat Pete, and I knew it going.
Beat Pete, beat them.
Or not Pete. I get them mixed up. Purple Aura.
Purple.
That Roxy Dew horse I might have been the underbidder on the Roxy Dew horse in behind me. I remember her name. Small little thing, but she's a gritty little bugger. So Purple Aura was good, and then Slim Jimmy, obviously, not only do I think he is obviously our best horse here in Ohio, he might be one of the better horses in Ohio. So we'll see how he goes next week. I gave you guys Sweet on Pete. Not really a gambling angle at 3 to 5, but you're probably going to see a lot of the same from Slim Jimmy this week. Hope he draws okay. Hope we got some luck. But again, a lot going on in Ontario this week, a lot going on here in Ohio. Overall, I think it's been a fairly productive summer. So, aside from the 8s and 7s that we drew, let's hope we have some luck this week.
Can't draw worse going in the Sire Stakes here on the weekend.
That is correct.
Literally can't draw worse.
Also correct.
Unless we had like 3 8-holes.
That would be worse.
Yeah.
I wish you hadn't said that. Okay. Take care. I hope everybody's having a sunny day. We're not.
No.
But at the same time, I can go home. You have to go race. You guys take care.